to do better with our kids and raising our kids to just be loving, kind kids. Um, what happened last week, I may get a little emotional. What happened last week was my son is on a travel baseball team. We live in the Carolinas. The only reason I say Carolinas is because we go from North Carolina for baseball and we stay in South Carolina, so we are part of the Carolinas. He is on a travel baseball team, and these kids have been together for an entire season, if not a little more, because some kids came from another team, 2 hours. And my son, sweetest kid you'll ever meet. He gets along with everybody. He doesn't be mean to nobody, and he wants to be everybody's friend. That is what I've always told him. That's what my husband and I taught him so long ago when he was growing up. We were like, if you see somebody sitting alone, sit with them. If there's somebody having trouble, help them. If there is, anything, just be nice. And it recently came to where we went to a conference, our teacher, his teacher even said, he just wants to be friends with everybody. So I'm not saying my son is perfect, but he knows how to treat people. But recently we went to his travel baseball, and at the end of it, I could tell on my son's face, I can read my kids very well, that something's bothering him. So he was like, I'll just tell you in the car. So we go in the car and I start driving, and I just figured it was probably something that the coaches say, kids get upset because of coach. And he was like, I'm going to keep this kid's identity private, so I'm going to call him Trevor. He was like, Mommy, Trevor called me a N-E-R. I'm not going to say the whole word. And I was like, excuse me? And he was like, yeah, he called it twice. And the anger that got into me was so bad because my kid is the sweetest kid. And I don't ever think that word needs to be said. And so I turned that car around immediately, and I wanted to address the parents, but they were already gone with their child. So I had went to the coach and told them the story, and sorry, and I told them the story, and my son was like, yeah, he called it. He said that in the outfield. He said, you're Kamari, you're a N-E-R. And then he said it again in the dugout when they were getting all their stuff together. And he said, Kamari, you're a big N-E-R. And it's just like, why do kids know this word? I know my son knows that word, but he thinks of it as a bad word. And for this kid to be so comfortable to say that word means that his parents are also saying that word. And I understand you can dislike a race, you can dislike anything, but you have to come out here and be the nice person. Everybody has different views. I don't care. You can have a different view on who that person is, what they look like, but do it to yourself. Don't bring it in a kid environment. Clearly your kid has heard you say that. And it should not have happened. But it's 2025. My son shouldn't have to hear that. And in baseball, you already, as a black kid, get I don't even know what I'm trying to say, but you don't get picked a lot because a lot of people think it's a white sport and that black kids don't aren't that good. So we've been on a team before where my son has won a game for that team, but he sat in the dugout the entire time for the next game. We have been on those teams, and we have left because we never want our son to feel like being black is a problem. So to come on this team, we already loved our coaches. We already knew them. We came on, and the kids were so sweet in the beginning. We don't really even know why this kid said that. We don't know if the parents went home and talked about my son and called him that, and then his, their son Trevor came to practice with that already on his mind. I don't know why my son would be brought up ever, or he could just be, dad or mom could just not like black people and use that word often, which is kind of crazy because the dad owns a four-wheeler shop and sells to black people. So it's like, if you need to like everybody if you want those sales. And again, I'm going to keep that private because even though that kid hurt my son, I will protect children because sometimes it's not their fault with the environment that they were growing up in. But at the end of the day, I feel like people need to do better because the hurt that was on my son was very terrible for me to watch. Luckily, our team is really good and our coaches are outstanding, and they let that kid go after that. And of course, the dad was like, my kid would never say that, but we made sure we had evidence of that by the other kids saying that he did in fact say that. And that kid was let go, so thank God, because the tournaments were that weekend, and it would have not been good at all if we had seen the parents. But the moral of the story is that parents need to do better. It's 2025. If my child knows the N-word is a bad word that you shouldn't say, every child should know that. Most children do, but clearly parents aren't still teaching about how you should treat kids. And like I said, my kid is the sweetest. I know my kid is not perfect, but he doesn't say that. He doesn't say any type of mean, hurtful things to people. So it's just about teaching to be kind and have respect for everybody. And if there is a problem, you come tell me. Just like my son has always came and told me or his dad. Always. Like, we've always had that open. And that's why he came to me as soon as it happened. Well, not as soon as it happened, but after practice. And he came to me and he told me. So, parents, please do better. Please.